Happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome to Our Issues Birmingham. Today's guest is Scott Myers, Executive Director of the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame. Hello, Scott. How are you doing today?
Hi.
Thanks for being with us.
I'm doing great. Great to be here, and thanks for having me.
I really think the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame is a little bit of a hidden gem in the city of Birmingham. I don't think a lot of people take advantage of what it has to offer. Maybe they do, and I'm just not aware of it. But tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved with the Sports Hall of Fame and what exactly the Sports Hall of Fame represents to this city and this community.
Well, sure. Well, thank you. Well, I have been here for 12 years now, which has been really fast years. My background was in sports in the community. I played football at Samford years ago, and then I got into sports business in Birmingham with initially the Birmingham Fire, then the Birmingham Bulls hockey team as general manager there.
With Art?
And me and a partner
Did you work with Art?
had an arena football team. What's that?
Did you work with Art?
Of course. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He was a great human being.
Art was one of my mentors, and I always tease, with Art, I learned a lot of things to do and a few things not to do. But I loved him. He was a great man and did a lot for sports in the state of Alabama. So after 5 years with him, me and a partner had the idea of taking over the Steel Dogs, and we ran that team for 6 years. Which was great. And when we folded that, it was about the time that my predecessor, Bill Legg, had retired from being executive director of the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame. And the board chairman, Edgar Weldon,
oh, yeah,
who I'd known for many years, came to me and asked if I would be interested in being the executive director of the Sports Hall of Fame. And it was interesting because when he first had mentioned it, I looked at it as, again, kind of as you'd mentioned, as a museum. And I'm like, well, I'm relatively young. I liked having the team concept, and wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do, but really fortunate. And it's been a great 12 years, and I've enjoyed being here. And it's funny, you mentioned it being a secret gem, and I used to hear that, and I would think, well, how do we change that? And to some degrees, I think we have, but I still do think it is a hidden gem in plain sight. I mean, again, now we're not hiding, right? We're directly across the street from the SEC headquarters, which is probably one of the most powerful corners of college football in the country. And then directly between us and across the street is the new protective stadium, which we're really excited about having here. But back to your question, the second part of your question about the museum, it is nationally considered one of the finest state sports hall of fames in the country. And we've got 33,000 square feet.
Wow.
We've got over 6,000 items of memorabilia. And most importantly is there are 376 inductees are perhaps the finest collection of sports greats anywhere in the world, quite frankly. And I used to say anywhere in the country, but if you really think about it, this is a great collection of anywhere in the world.
Well, few people know this, but I was an offensive lineman at John Carroll High School for Pat Sullivan. And I am sure that I laid the groundwork for him in winning the Heisman Trophy. And I know he would be happy to hear me say that, because he and I went to grammar school, high school, and college together.
And you said you were an offensive lineman for him. Well, I think you probably taught him to do two things really well. Number one, I think you probably taught him how to scramble really good.
I did.
To get away from the guy you missed blocking. And two, you probably taught him how to take a hit. So you probably did have a lot to do with this Heisman Trophy.
I was about 50 pounds lighter back in those days. In addition to your efforts, as a matter of fact, I was in the area last night attending an event at the North Exhibition Hall. And of course, the stadium was all lit up. And I mean, it really looks invigorating down there when the stadium's lit and cars are there and there are people in uptown eating out and doing things. Do people come to your Hall of Fame and pay an admission price and come in and take a tour of what you have to offer there, like Cooperstown or something like that?
Oh, absolutely. We're open to the public. We're looking our hours and potentially adjusting them based upon the event schedule at Protective Stadium. Right now, we're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And then, of course, we have events. People can book events in the museum. We've got great event space for receptions. We've had a number of rehearsal dinners here for sports fans, and we have a lot of corporate business meetings that come here, use the museum space, whether it's our one of the galleries we have or our boardroom. We have opportunities for that type thing. But back to your question about the vibrancy of what's going on in the area. We're all coming out of this pandemic, right? And we're looking at growth, and we're just now starting to see people booking events back here at the museum. About just some of the general foot traffic that's picked up in relation to Protective Stadium, and the work that, quite frankly, that the Alabama Department of Transportation, what they've done with the new bridges that were finished and the lighting that's underneath the bridges, and just how that has invigorated the area as well. I want to give them a shout out, because I think that was very insightful of that space and the openness that it's brought to it.
Yeah, I think they're going to put some park-like walking trails, or I don't know what to call it, garden space, I guess, for lack of a word, underneath those big columns where the interstate goes over. I want to talk specifically about what I understand to be your Sports Hall of Fame's involvement in the World Games when we come back from break, because I know you played a role in that. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. This is Our Issues Birmingham. Don't go away. We got lots more coming. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. Talking with Scott Myers, Alabama Sports Hall of Fame. We're learning a lot about what's I refer to as a hidden gem. He's acknowledged to some degree it is, but it's beginning to come out because things are happening in that part of our city. Now, before we went to break, you mentioned that people can have events at the Sports Hall of Fame, and that people do often have, I'm sure you've got caterers and event planners and people like that at your disposal. How does one who wants to do that make that happen?
That's right, and we love having events here. It's a great part of our operations. Anyone can visit our website, which is ASHOF for Alabama Sports Hall of Fame.org. And on that website, it has information about, obviously all of our inductees, our award winners, but renting the space, our approved catering list, all the details can be found there. And also our phone numbers on there. It's 205-323-6665. They can call us and we can give them the information. We can send them an email with information. Anything of that nature, they can contact us through our website.
Well, we hope as a consequence or a result of this viewing that perhaps we can stimulate some activity down there in addition. Now, I know from talking to Nick Sellers, who's been on our show before, and from talking to you prior to meeting for this show, that the Sports Hall of Fame had an active role in bringing the World Games to the city of Birmingham. I don't think people that live here really appreciate the magnitude of what that means and what its economic impact is going to be and what kind of world stage we're going to be put upon. But as I drive down Red Mountain Expressway, I see the countdown clock and I think about Nick every day. And I'm going to have Nick back on because he promised he would be on. But we're down below 300 days. We're at 260 something, I think. What did the Sports Hall of Fame have to do with making that happen?
Well, first of all, let me say that Nick is doing a fantastic job as CEO and has just revitalized and it's just been great. And he's working hard. And right now, we're just a little over 6 months out from the games, or 7 months out, right there at it. But so there's still a lot of work yet to do, but we're getting close. And Yeah, the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame, we were really fortunate to have played a role in essentially managing the bid effort for the city of Birmingham. We basically had put together the LLC that set everything up. We had basically went to the governor and the mayor, along with Edgar Weldon, the chairman of the Hall of Fame board, and said, "Hey, we think we have an opportunity to win these games, and we'd like to go after it." And the city at the time had a number of things they were obviously dealing with. One of the things they were working toward was the Democratic National Convention that they were spending a lot of time and effort. So part of it was like, they didn't know a whole lot about it. They were like, "Well, yeah, y'all are sports guys. Y'all have at it. Go out there and see what you could do." And we had a great team, and it just we were very fortunate that we could represent our city in the bid effort and bringing the games to Birmingham.
Who were we competing against city-wise? I'm curious.
Well, the final three cities that were in consideration were Ufa, Russia, which, of course, most of your listeners would not have heard of because I hadn't heard of them before then, and Lima, Peru. And Lima is a wonderful city, and I've got some friends there. And we had that was really strong competition. And, in particularly when you talk about funding and all the things that go into hosting this type of international sports event, there was a lot of pieces there. But, we had done our homework, and we knew that these games were they weren't going to the Bogotas, the 2013 games where we had the opportunity to see it and visit. They were in Cali, Colombia, as opposed to Bogota, Colombia. And then the 2017 games were in Wrocław, Poland, as opposed to Warsaw, Poland. So they were not going to necessarily the Chicagos and the New Yorks and the LAs. They were going to other cities. So we thought that based upon that and based upon the number of outstanding facilities that we already had built here, that we had a really good chance. So our board chairman, Edgar Weldon, loved the idea. And so, yeah, we went after it, and we're very fortunate that we had a great team that worked on it and were able to win the games.
So, of course, you have corporate support in making that happen from our local standbys. I won't name them because there are too many to name, but you know who they are, and I know who they are, and I think our viewers know who they are. But one of the things I think that was attractive about Birmingham is not just the new stadium across the street from you, but Legion Field still has some vitality. There's the Crossplex. Are we using the racetrack for anything, or is that still just limited to bingo? I hate that facility's out there and used for essentially an off-sports betting facility, off-track betting.
I think that's still just bingo, but I don't know. Nick and them may have found some use for it, but yeah,
I'm a little upset that pickleball is not a part of the World Games, but I'll get over it.
Hey, you know what though? This is where games come to. The thing about the World Games is it's opportunities to be moved for games to go to the next level, to go to the next Olympics, and the opportunity for the games to particularly advance. So in the future, I wouldn't be surprised to see pickleball as a world game. Again, I have no dog in that fight at all, but pickleball is really picking up, nationally and in Alabama for sure.
No pun intended.
No pun intended.
All right, we're going to take a short break and come back and talk some more about what you do and what we have in this great city. Don't go away. We'll be right back. This is Our Issues Birmingham. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. We've been talking about the Sports Hall of Fame, but the Sports Hall of Fame and what it's been and what it is and how it was involved in the World Games is not all the Sports Hall of Fame represents to this community. What other programs do you have going on that are operated out of the Sports Hall of Fame that benefit our community?
Yeah, we're real fortunate that 37 years ago, there was a partnership started between the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame in the Alabama High School Athletic Association called the Bryant Jordan Student Athlete Scholarship Program. And we manage that here out of the Hall of Fame, which is a statewide program that works with the 408 high schools all across the state to recognize the great student athletes that the state of Alabama produces. And it's a wonderful program. We recognize every year over our 104 of the finest young men and women you'll see across the state. And it's a great program. On any given year, we'll have $1 million in scholarships available. So it's a great program that we've partnered with. And again, it's in its 37th year of operation. Another program that your listeners will be highly interested in, Our Issues Birmingham, is the Birmingham Athletic Partnership. And it was founded almost 20 years ago now. In fact, in a couple months in February, it will be 20 years of operation. And that program is housed here at the museum. And it's basically a booster club for the Birmingham City public schools, the 7 Birmingham high schools and the 18 middle schools that we work with. And again, we work with the athletics, the band, choir, cheerleading, essentially all extracurricular activities within these schools. We try to support, assist, help them grow, help them with equipment, all other types of things, whether it be camps or, ACT prep courses, anything as it relates to items outside the school system. So it's a great program. I've had the opportunity to be on that board since the beginning. In fact, I was involved in it prior to being the executive director of the Hall of Fame.
Well, I assume they have to know, but there's a mechanism for those schools you referred to, the inner city high schools and middle schools, know to contact you if they need or have a need for, let me just pick something, helmets or shoes or instruments for the band. Do you help put them in touch with somebody that can make that happen?
That's right. So when Edgar Weldon, the chairman of our board at the Hall of Fame, he was the founder of BAP. And he had basically saw an inequity between the over the mountain schools and the Birmingham City schools. So that's why it started. But that mechanism in place is we work with the athletic directors at the schools and the coaches in the schools. And again, now entering our 20 years of operation, there's a system in place where they basically just, they apply for different things, or they let us know, the number of shoulder pads that they've had from last year. They need some repairs. They send in, different requests, different camps that we help support them to go to. It's just a number of things on an ongoing basis.
And where does the funding come for that? Somebody's got to pay for it.
Great question. So we've got some wonderful corporations in the city of Birmingham that do a great job. And we couldn't do what we do, quite frankly, without their partnership, led by the Power Company, Protective Life, Ligon Industries, Regions Bank, let's see, Viva Health, PricewaterhouseCoopers. Just again, I know I'm forgetting somebody, and I shouldn't be doing that, right? I should have them all memorized, but
well, it's hard.
I think I covered the majority.
I couldn't remember the Big Seven from back in the 60s.
Well, it's a great program. Again, it enables us to make an impact in Birmingham specific, and then the Bryant Jordan allows us to reach out across the state, because again, the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame is a state entity. And we just happen to be located here in the heart of Birmingham, and now in the heart of this uptown district that's having a lot of revitalization and a lot of future. So we're really looking forward to the next 50 years. We're now in our 53rd year of inductees at the Alabama Sports Hall of Fame. We're about to announce our upcoming banquet, and our class that we just selected will be inducted in May 6th and 7th. So we've got a lot of moving pieces right now.
Obviously, a lot of people may not know, but the Bryant Jordan Scholarship is named after Bear Bryant and Shug Jordan from back in the day when I was in college at Auburn. Does it award scholarship to a student athlete? Is that what it does?
That's exactly right. And the 408 high schools every high school can nominate only 2 student athletes. So whether you're a 1A high school in a rural community or a 7A high school in the heart of Birmingham, you can only nominate 2 students. One student is a scholar athlete, that kid that is, the 4.5 that's got a 30 plus on the ACT, that, is involved in everything, that kind of kid. The other nominee that each high school can do is what's called an Achievement Award winner. And that's a young man or young lady who's had to overcome some level of adversity, whether it be from battling cancer to socioeconomic to, an injury, had to overcome something to achieve success throughout the year. So, and each year we'll have 52 of the scholar athletes and 52 of the Achievement Award winners here to a banquet in Birmingham to honor these young men and women who have reached that level of success.
And they go on to play sports at one of our universities? Or is it just
No,
to further their education?
Yeah, it's scholarships that they could take wherever they want to go, anywhere in the country. And they don't have to be going to play a sport. They just have to be going to college, and we will send their scholarship money wherever they want to go.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. It's good to get this information and to get it out to our viewership. I hope people will take advantage of what we have uncovered here today and make a visit. See you soon. Thanks for being with us, okay?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
You're very welcome. This is Our Issues Birmingham. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next week.